Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Elevated Beauty Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Fouts, and today this is going to be about holding your peers accountable. I feel like this is really important. It's not like a conversation of, you should be doing it this way, this is the wrong way. It's about spreading correct education and helping to steer each other in the right direction and being open-minded, continuing to learn, because if you feel like you have nothing left to learn, you will not learn anything else and you will be stuck in this stagnant capacity of knowledge that you have. You will not grow. And it's not criticism when someone offers you a new idea or new knowledge on something that you didn't have before. I think that the aesthetic community is more open to this maybe than they used to be. Of course, younger estheticians just getting straight out of school. I'm speaking for myself. I felt like, I had all this new knowledge and I knew this and this and this. And I was a little less receptive back then to gathering new information, and I wanted to give out this knowledge that I had. And so maybe that is the thing with younger estheticians, but also I have found that there are some estheticians that are way up there in age, and not to be ageist, I'm just saying, like, if you're in your 40s and you're an esthetician, I feel like you probably have been doing this for a little while. Some people do get licensed later in age, and that's okay too. But if you've been doing this for a while, you should have allowed yourself a good amount of education, and you've had a good amount of time to gather and garner information. And there are some people who have not, and who are stubborn, and who think that their way is the right way, and everybody else is wrong, and everybody else is stupid. And that is a really unfortunate place to be in. And I don't think anyone like that is listening to a podcast, because you listen to a podcast to gather new information. So I don't think anyone like that is listening, but, and I think those are very far and few in between people, but it is our responsibility to hold every one of our peers accountable and just share correct information, because it's going to help somebody out. If you see someone posting in a group this information and you're like, no, I know that's wrong, that's way off base, you can still do it in a polite way. You can, because there are impressionable people who are reading that comment and they're like, oh, a professional said this in a professional group, so that must be. No, that's not it. And it's actually quite alarming. It's almost terrifying that there are these licensed individuals that are posting in these groups that they are microneedling over active acne, and they are performing extractions on a bacterial infection. Someone's got pustules covering their literal whole face, and people are saying to do extractions on it. And there's just so much of that. And for a long time, I did kind of remove myself from these groups, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't there to learn. But I find myself now in a position where I am, which I consider myself to be a mentor, which I'm still learning. Everyone is always learning. There's always more to learn, but I've been doing it for 10 years now, so I do have information that newer estheticians are gonna find valuable. And so I do like to contribute here and there to some of the conversations that I find. But man, it is at a high rate alarming that people are not holding their self accountable. You owe it to yourself to educate yourself. Yes, you get educated in school, you pay for the education, but so much of my education has been after I graduated. And I think probably most people can agree with me on that. And it's up to you to expand your knowledge. And you're doing your clients and your community a disservice if you're not educating yourself on the proper ways to do the services that you are supplying. If you are offering facials, then it's up to you. You owe it to yourself and your clients and your community You owe it to your profession to educate yourself on skin conditions that you're treating. You need to know what to look out for. It's unethical to be performing services that on skin types and skin conditions that you're not aware of. And I think some people are afraid to do this. I'm not afraid to do it. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to speak up and has to speak on topics that are hard to talk about. And some people might not like me because of it, but the people that aren't going to like me are going to be people that are not wanting to learn, that think they have all the answers. And so it's up to all of us to hold our peers accountable. If you see someone doing something unethical, no, we're not police. We don't have to police everybody. But if you see somebody, like, for an example, someone's doing a business out of their house and they are not licensed for lashing or something, I would hope that you would hold your peers. I don't know if that's a good example, because if you're not licensed, you're not a peer. Yeah, if you know someone who is doing microneedling over active acne, or microneedling, how would you really know if you're microneedling someone that's diabetic? Basically, like, what I'm saying is, if you see something, say something, just to spread that correct knowledge. And another thing when it comes to holding our peers accountable is, not only am I in the aesthetic space, but now I'm in a new space, which is apparel, graphic designing, creating and selling. And something that I've run into and that I've become aware of is people making and selling recycled designs from someone else. And this is a copyright issue. It is unethical. It's unoriginal. And if you watched my stories on Shop Cryptic Skin, I kind of went through the ethics of doing that and how I create all my designs from start to finish, or I have it made by a graphic designer. And that is because you will not find it anywhere else. I have absolutely seen people putting stuff on t-shirts that they found from Pinterest, and they're just downloading it and they're slapping it on a t-shirt and calling it theirs. And that is a copyright issue. And that's not to call anyone out. It's just holding your peers accountable. And I will even hold myself accountable. So one of the designs that I made back in the day, not back in the day, it wasn't that long ago. It was when I first got into making tees and graphic design. It was the very first one that I made that made me want to create Cryptic Skin. It was a Google image of the vampire girl, the Wear Your SPF vampire girl. And then I used that as a base image, and I added bats and I added sparkles, and I came up with the slogan and the words, and then I created all that on Canva. No, I wasn't completely, it wasn't like, oh, I got this, downloaded it, boom, put it on a shirt. I did kind of create, I made it mine, but it still wasn't mine. I was using a base image that someone else created, and that's why I'm not reproducing that. Everything else is from a graphic designer, or I'm making it myself. And I was talking with someone else that is in the same space that I am, and it is an issue. It is something that people do, and no, it does not directly affect me, but I am wanting to spread this information to help them out, to help out the creators, because you are not going to have any longevity in your business of creating your apparel if you're using recycled images. You need to be original, and because people will notice this. I have clocked designs that I've seen on Pinterest before, and other people will notice it too. And for me, I want to purchase from somebody that I know that is them. That's original from them. They created that. That came from their mind. They put hard work and effort and money into it, and it's theirs. That's who I want to support. And again, I'm only saying this because we are a community, and my whole purpose with speaking this into existence, with putting this on a podcast episode, is to benefit the creator, is to benefit these estheticians, because when we know better, we do better. And I hope that you guys too will maybe make this more of a present thing in your mind. We don't want to police anybody. Nobody likes those kind of people. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying hold each other accountable. If you see something, give the proper knowledge out. If it is in a public forum, you don't have to come for somebody and be like, no, you're wrong. Just, give out the correct information if you know that it's blatantly wrong, because that is harmful. That is damaging to spread harmful and false information. But again, if someone wants to take some wrong information and apply it to their business and apply it to their clients, that's their fault, because they're not doing their due diligence to educate themselves. They're just taking somebody else's word for it. But I think as a community, it is helpful to spread goodness, to spread positivity, and to share the wealth of knowledge. I am not a know-it-all. I hate know-it-alls. That's why I always say, you guys probably hear me say it all the time, I'm always continuing my education. I'm always continuing to learn. Nobody likes somebody that tries to be right all the time. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I hope I'm not coming off as a bitch, but I feel like this needs to be talked about, and I hope that maybe some of you benefited from this, or it's reaffirming. Maybe it's something that you've noticed that you're like, oh my God, thank you. Finally, somebody spoke on it. But yeah, that's what I have for today. Hold each other accountable, love each other, be kind, and keep doing what you do best. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. You can follow me on social media at Elevated Beauty Aesthetics, or on my esthetician shop, which is Shop Cryptic Skin. That is where I sell esthetician themed apparel that is supernatural in nature and kind of kitschy designs for the modern esthetician. So as always, I will see you guys next Monday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for another episode.